Official. Good morning, guys. Welcome to my Tuesday. We're on Tuesday, right? I wanted to talk about going from emotional eating to intuitive eating, because I feel like intuitive eating is super, I guess trendy is the word. It's definitely trendy. Lots of people do it, but I did kind of want to talk you through, just going through today as kind of the theme of today's vlog. That is not my concealer. Just talking through how I went from being more of an emotional eater to being an intuitive eater, and I'm not perfect with it. There's still days like yesterday where I knew I was bored eating, or I knew that I was eating out of frustration and emotion, and I definitely did a lot better with that than I would have before, where I kind of recognized that that was part of it and that I was feeling frustrated or annoyed and I was eating. Instead of sitting in those emotions and dealing with it. That's also part of the reason that I want to get into the gym today, is because if I want to offset some of that and to just have a strong emotional outlet, I need to work out. So we're going to go through today. I have no idea what we're going to get up to. I know what I think is going to happen. I have actually no clue what will happen, but hopefully throughout the day I can kind of share a couple of tips for how I made the transition from being an emotional eater to being a intuitive eater, and maybe they'll help you too.
And your eyes have been so hard to forget, but there's something you're trying to hide. There's something you're keeping inside, but I'm trying to get to know you much better.
So it is almost 9 a.m. and you would have just seen that I made my little morning smoothie. I probably should go use a straw on that though, because a glass straw is not super easy to get smoothie out of. I also just finished doing my hair and I need to pull the clothes for today's shoot, but I did want to go ahead and go over a couple of my little tips. Let me pull out my notes for emotional eating. And like I said, I didn't eat super perfect yesterday. So I woke up this morning and I felt it last night. Like I could tell later in the night, where I just kind of was sitting there trying to go to sleep, and I realized that my stomach was feeling really bloaty and really poofy, and that I hadn't really been taking cues from my body yesterday afternoon, and I had just been eating. And there were a couple of moments where I acknowledged that. But in order to kind of make that transition, and it's not a perfect transition, but the transition from being more of an emotional eater to an intuitive eater, I had to realize that I was an emotional eater. That was like step one for me in making any kind of changes. So realizing that that was like the way that I was functioning and how my relationship with food was key, so that I could even begin to fix it. So I figured that out, and then it's kind of working from there. So there is a book called The Power of Habit, I believe is the name of it. Rachel Hollis talks about it in her first book, but it's this concept that with any kind of habit, whether or not it's like emotional eating, it's smoking, it's alcohol, all of these different things, that there is a cue, there is an action, and there's a reward. And so this circuit that you follow, this like mental wave that you go through, is essentially what you're looking to change. So that emotional eating, that like feeling these emotions and not dealing with them, but like feeling them, feeling overwhelmed by them, just feeling really stuck in them, maybe feeling confused by them, is your cue. And so your action is that you're going to eat something, and your reward is that you feel better, whether or not you actually feel better, but that's like how you feel about it. So realizing that I was an emotional eater so that I could start acknowledging those moments was super helpful for me. And also taking myself off of calorie counting and tracking and things like that. For me, I have always had, I guess, a very distanced relationship with food, and it wasn't helping me to put a number on things, to do all these different things. I really wanted more than anything to be able to listen to my body. And when I first started trying to intuitive eat, I had no idea what my body was saying, what I needed. Like, I had no clue on taking any cues from it, because I had always let something else control it, or somebody else control it, or just gave that power into a diet or another thing, and that wasn't working for me. It wasn't helping me get where I wanted to get. It wasn't helping me mentally make the best choices, and I really wanted to be secure enough in myself and content enough in my relationship with food that when I was eating, it's because I was choosing to eat and I was hungry, and not because of everything else. Now, I get there are certain social settings where you're gonna want to eat and you're gonna want to have drinks, and I don't feel like that's the world's worst thing. This morning, to be able to wake up and acknowledge, you know, my stomach still feels a little bit puffy, a little bit bloated. Maybe I should stick with water for a bit this morning instead of eating because I have to eat, or eating because I need to hit a certain calorie count, or eating because you're supposed to do it. Just really getting to a place where I could listen to my body and what it was saying and what was right for me. So I've gotten to the point with my smoothie where it's like I've had a little bit more than half, and I'm full. I don't need any more. I kind of realized that at this point I probably need more water than I do anything else, and that's been one of the biggest shifts for me as far as intuitive eating, is hitting a point where I can say, okay, I think I'm good, like I'm full, and walking away. And that's tip number 3, is to not have any like insane restrictions on foods and things for me. I feel like when you give food that power, it's when you say I can't have this, or I can't have that, or I can't have whatever, it suddenly becomes this like big amazing thing that's all you want and all you can have. This month is meant to be a like no plastic month, to reduce our reusable, our single-use waste. I'm kind of trying to take the mindset of trying to just do my best to be more mindful, to be better, not perfect. So I didn't drink a full smoothie this morning. I didn't eat a full breakfast. I didn't, you know, what in whatever case, but I'm comfortable enough to say, okay, I'm okay, and move on. So that means the same of like, if I want other foods, or if I want certain things that I might want to eat in excess, it's, do I want this in excess because I feel like I shouldn't have it, or do I want it because I'm craving it, kind of a thing. So just trying to tweak those mindset shifts for myself. I'm going to do a whole video on that, but I didn't finish my full smoothie. There's probably a good chance I won't finish it later, so I am going to take it to the kitchen. I'm going to drink some water, and then hopefully on this little adventure we're going on, I can get some coffee, because I could definitely use some of that this morning.
She said Siri.
Siri doesn't ever answer me. If I like, you know, we're wearing stripes and matching again.
Oh my gosh.
We're becoming the same person.
She's still thinking about it.
She used to be really good. It's like one of those relationships where it was really solid in the beginning, and you can be like,
You went
hey,
through honeymoon phase with Siri.
yeah, I did. Like, especially my Apple Watch.
There's something wrong.
See?
Please try
Told you.
again.
Honeymoon phase.
Let me tell you right now, your exquisite kiss still burning. Didn't know I missed this passion in life. Now I'm addicted somehow. Let me tell you what is up with your smile? It's impossible, not melting, irresistible. When I look through your eyes, not even sky's the limit.
Alright guys, so future Savannah coming in here, who's currently editing this vlog and very strongly realizing that this is the day that we learned that you can't really film it raw and juicy. It's really nice to visit, it's really nice to experience, but it's really stinking loud. So tip number 4 is all about Fab 4. I found that following Kelly Leveque's Fab 4 plan has been super key, and just helping me feel better at intuitive eating, and kind of reaching that stage from going from emotional eating to intuitive eating. With Fab 4, I have kind of like a guide for things to eat that helps me feel my best, helps me work on healing my hormones, really helps me with my acne, all those goals that you guys know that I love, but it's not restrictive. I don't feel like I can't eat everything. There's nothing that's off limits. It has just become a really super adaptive lifestyle approach for me. It's taken me a while to get there, but in that transition from emotional eating to intuitive eating, I really needed to put myself on a path that gave me the ability to have some kind of a guide as I was really getting started, and to give me a good idea of just making sure I was getting the nutrients to balance things and to hit my goals, while also not doing the things that I'd struggled with before, counting calories, feeling restricted by eating windows and all of that. So tip number 4 is to follow Fab 4, or find a kind of I guess, shelf or something that works for you, but for me, Fat Boar has been wonderful. Back to the regular vlog. So it's about 4 o'clock. And I just got home from our shoot day this morning. I am getting ready to do a little bit of work and do my workout, but I thought that I would share my next couple of tips with you guys. So tip number 5 is, when you're looking to go from emotional eating to intuitive eating, is trying to take the time to ask yourself if you're eating because you're hungry, if you're eating because you're bored, maybe sometimes asking yourself why you're eating. Now, I'm not saying like this has to be all the time, and every habit can become obsessive, but it's about this time in the afternoon that I start to wonder, maybe I'm not necessarily as hungry as I am thirsty, which is what's happening right now. I'm a little bit tired right now. I know I had a fairly good lunch, but I'm also really aware of the fact that I haven't had enough water today. So I just went ahead and refilled my water because I know that if I snack on something now, I'm probably not going to be as hungry for dinner, and that means I'll probably also less likely to eat like actual full well-rounded meals. So if you're looking to kind of make that switch from emotional eating to intuitive eating, part of that for me was figuring out if I was eating because I was bored, or if I was eating because I was hiding from some kind of emotion, or like right now, if it's maybe because I haven't had enough water and I'm just tired, and food is the easiest, quickest way to fix that, but it's not really what my body needs right now. So that's tip number 5. Tip number 6 is to find an outlet for yourself. Now, I'm going to work out in a little bit. I typically work out in the morning. Working out for me is my like zen time. I've trained my mind. That is like the time that I give myself to just really relax, to kind of work out any frustrations or any emotions that I typically might bottle up or use food to cover up. And I do make the extra effort to try to deal with them and identify why I'm feeling a certain way, but I also know that sometimes working out is my outlet for that.
I go anywhere with you, 'cause you fill my mind, or you fill my mind.
Dinner. I realized I just have one more tip to share, and I feel like my journey to go from intuitive eating or emotional eating to intuitive eating has been a journey. Like, it didn't happen overnight. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in my last tip. Tip number 7 is to practice grace. It took me probably only until recently to even intuitive eating looked like for me, to be able to realize what cues my body was giving me, to acknowledge that I was eating slow enough and mindfully enough to know what was going on, to like begin to even fathom the fact that I was beginning to intuitively eat. It took me time, and that meant going through every stage of it and being really patient with myself and just being intentional about practicing grace throughout all of it. So if you're in a place right now where you feel like you're emotionally eating and you really want to get to a place where that's not your relationship with food, that you don't feel like it's a toxic relationship, that you feel like you can enjoy it and eat it to a place where you don't feel sick or overfull, or you're just feeling like food controls your life, I promise you it's something you can do. It's possible. You can get there. You just have to be patient with yourself. For me, like I said, when I started out on my journey to kind of heal my hormones and change my diet and change what was going on, I never really had an intention of going from emotional eating to intuitive eating. I didn't even think that I was emotionally eating at the time. I didn't realize that that was a trigger for me as something I was doing. And now it's so different for me. A lot has changed for me in the last few months. I as a person have changed. What I'm focused on has changed. My priorities have changed. Having an outlet for things has changed. Just being able to be in touch with who I am and what I want in a new way has changed. And that's definitely helped me a lot. But none of it happened overnight. And if you're emotionally eating and you just want to get off that cycle, I promise you can get there. I promise you can do it. I promise that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you've got to give yourself grace. And if you're not perfect, then you're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect every single day. You don't have to eat clean every single day. You don't have to not eat junk every single day. There is a fluidity to creating this healthy lifestyle that you really, really want. I had pizza for dinner and I ate half of it and thought I still want more, and so I had some more, and then we had chocolate fondue and wine for dessert, and I had a couple of bites of fondue and I thought, you know what, I'm kind of full, like I really don't need any more, and I had some of my wine. But that option to be able to walk away, to be able to say, I enjoy this, I can have a bite or two and I'm okay. You can get to that point. You can get to the point where you're not so controlled by food and so consumed by things, and you're not eating to cover emotion or to deal with things or simply because you're bored. You can get there, but be patient with yourself. Know that it takes time to get there and that some days are going to go better than others, but it is a very real possibility. So I love you guys. I really hope that today's video is helpful for you. I definitely want to do more in the realm of emotional eating, intuitive eating, just building a healthy relationship with food and eating in a way that honors your body and honors your mind, because I think that's a very strong possibility, and I think that everybody deserves to have their happiest and healthiest life and learn how to build a relationship with food that is good for them and works for their lifestyle and works for the goals that they want. I love you guys. You matter to me. I'm so glad that you're here. If you aren't already subscribed, make sure you click that button. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, give it a like, because it really supports my channel. I'm gonna go take off this very matte lip, finish my skin care. I have some patch going on. We're doing an elimination diet. That video is coming soon. Yeah. It is a good day to have a good day, and right now it's a good night to have a good night. So I will see you all in my next video.